All right, so today let's talk about these weird bubbly lenses known as fisheyes and whether or not you might want one. What I've known them to be used for is a lot of action sports, to make objects and environments larger than life and give a really unique, albeit strange perspective. There are so many fisheyes out on the market today. Some cameras have them built in, some are lens attachments that go over the main lens, and some are meant for DSLRs and mirrorless cameras. A lot of people find fisheyes a little off-putting because sometimes they can give off a really cheap door hole type of look with crazy vignettes. But in recent years, fisheyes have gotten a lot better. So my mind is kind of really used to seeing what a fisheye shot looks like because I grew up watching a lot of skate videos. There is a large portion of skate filming that is done by another skateboarder riding alongside the subject and filming them with a camera and a fisheye lens. And what that allows them to do is get close, accentuate the objects, but also be able to get the entire skateboarder in frame with that insanely wide field of view. Most of the time, you probably wouldn't want to use a fisheye lens unless you were trying to do something very specific. And in this case, filming skateboarding is a perfect situation to use a fisheye lens. So the lens we're going to talk about today is this 7.5mm f2 fisheye lens from TTartisans. Now this is actually the third TTartisan lens that I've reviewed, and this one's pretty unique because it's a micro four thirds mount. It's an f2, which is pretty rare for a fisheye, and it's got this kind of strange lens barrel design. What's also kind of crazy is that it actually comes with a ND1000 filter, which you might be saying this is way too small to fit on this front element here. Well, it actually screws on to the back element of the fisheye lens. So what that is going to allow you to do is take the exposure down in really bright sunlight without having to stop down the aperture. But here's why I would probably never use this. Fisheye lenses give a very wide field of view, and although having an f2 aperture is really nice, maybe if you're filming in low light, I would never shoot at f2 with a fisheye lens. With fisheye lenses, you want a deep depth of field because especially when you're filming things like skateboarding, you don't want to be having to check the focus a lot. You just want to be able to slap it on your camera, make sure the majority of everything that you're going to be filming is going to be in focus, and just leave it at that. Having an ND is a cool idea if you're going to do something else with the lens that maybe you wanted a little bit of shallow depth of field, which again, I don't think that's what fisheye lenses are meant for. I could see how this could be useful for you. Maybe if you wanted to have a slower shutter speed with a wider aperture or something like that. But for my purposes, I'm probably going to step it down to like an f4 and f5.6 because that's where I want to use a fisheye lens. I don't want there to be any shallow depth of field. I want it to be a very deep depth of field with everything in focus. So if you're on micro four thirds and you're looking for a lens that you could possibly vlog with, you can with this fisheye, but just remember, you're going to get that barrel distortion on the edges, so it's not going to be the most cinematic shot. It's going to kind of look like you're shooting with a GoPro. That being said, it is going to look a little better than the GoPro because you are going to get some background separation. I'm shooting at f2 right now, and so you are going to get a little bit of a blurry background, which honestly is kind of a unique look, especially with a fisheye. Not all 7.5mm lenses are going to give you the same angle of view. For instance, this TTartisan lens is going to give you about 180 degree angle of view, whereas the Laowa 7.5mm would only give you about 110 degree angle of view. So it's going to be less wide, but also less barrel distortion. So I've been really impressed with what TTartisan have been able to release for such an affordable price. I think this lens goes for about 150 bucks brand new, and that's pretty good. I would say that if you're looking for an ultra wide angle lens that doesn't have any distortion, this isn't going to be the lens for you. This will still give you some barrel distortion, which is why it's still called a fisheye. But one thing that I've noticed is that the barrel distortion isn't as bad as some of the other fisheyes that I've used, and I've used a lot. Using it at f2 I think is not really ideal. It gets looking pretty soft, and especially soft in the corners. I would feel much more comfortable filming with this at like an f4, but again, if you were in a lower light situation, I know a lot of people like to do star lapses with lenses like this. Shooting at f2 will be perfectly fine for that kind of stuff. So of course, I'll have a link to this lens in the description below if you want to check it out. I think that if you need a fisheye, which again, don't be buying this thinking that it's going to be a replacement for like an ultra wide angle. I would still say that something like a Laowa 7.5 is going to be your best bet if you just want a wide angle lens with no distortion. But again, if you're an action sports filmmaker, something like this is a really nice thing to have in your kit. Hey, real quick before you go, I did just make my channel memberships available. So I got some cool perks. You can check it out in the description below. I think that's all I have for you. If you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe if you want to, and you can click on either side of my face if you want to see some more of my videos. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll catch y'all next time. Say bye, Kevin. Later.